I met Lynn Erickson, which is very interesting because she was at one of our events and came up to me and she goes, well, I can help women. And I hear that all the time. You know what I'm saying? It's not, everyone has a story. And I always tell people, okay, but it doesn't mean you have a story that people are going to buy from you. And then I met her, and she's a 71-year-old Asian woman living in Denmark, which that in itself, 71 and living in Denmark as an Asian, whereas the country, Denmark, is a very like white country. Like the part of Scandinavia is very white. I mean, there's a lot of immigrants now, but like if you're not of them, sometimes they see you differently. And she has broken down every barrier. And I've met a lot of people. I have never seen a woman who believes more in women than this lady. And I said to her, you need to come to, I mean, she can't come to the reunion. I would have had her at the reunion, but she says, I said, I can make it to South Africa. And it's very interesting. At first I was like, what? And after that, you can truly feel the inner soul in what she talks about. And she also understands what women want. So as a man, I was like, well, what does it women want? And then it was like an hour and a half conversation later. I still didn't know what you want, but I had a little bit more clarity as well. The women-to-women market for us has been one of the best, fastest growing movement. I think it's everywhere around the world. 82% of women make the decisions at home now with the purchasing power. More and more are taking powerful executive position. So women, if you're not tapping that, women would rather buy women. And if you're not tapping that, you're missing a huge opportunity. And men, if you don't know how to curtail your marketing and your branding. So this is kind of what I hope to unlock for all of us here today. Can we crack the women code? So please welcome my guest from Denmark. I think we have more people from Scandinavia than we do from Cape Town. Right? Like literally. You know, I gotta fly. It's great to see you, Lynn. I'm just gonna ask you, I know it sounds like a weird question, but fundamentally, in life and business, what's the biggest difference between men and women? Because there is a difference fundamentally on the thinking and the beliefs and just what's the main distinction from your perspective, having worked with like thousands of women?
Well, I have also been a normal business woman.
No, I understand. I thought you said I've also been a man. I thought that's what that like. I've also been a man. Well, that's how it was almost going to come out. I was like, oh.
Well, no. The main difference is actually, I think.
Can we turn up our mic, please?
The main difference, I think, women don't believe in themselves as much as they should. Men have bigger self-confidence than women have. Women lack self-confidence.
And where's that lack of self-confidence coming?
Lack of self-worth is something very basic. They put other people's priorities before their own. And this is something that I am trying to teach women to put themselves first.
I tell this story, and maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but I meet a lot of women and like, I sacrifice so that my kids could have what I don't have. But isn't the message you're sending is that if I need to sacrifice for my kids, then my kids sacrifice for their kids. So you create a generation that doesn't necessarily accomplish anything, rather than saying, you know what, mommy had a great business, mommy had a great family, mommy raised great kids. If mommy can do it all, so can you. Shouldn't that be the message we send to our daughters and women of the world, that no one should sacrifice for anybody else?
Yes, this is the message. And it's a message to women, because women tend to do that kind of sacrifice.
But I say motherhood, because like we coach a lot of clients, a lot of kids. I'd say motherhood is probably the hardest business in the world. The difference is you can't fire your kids until they're 18. That ultimately, and I've never seen a woman quit on their kid. Like I see, of course, there's some trouble homes, but the students, I've never seen a woman quit on their kids. But I've seen so many women quit on themselves. Why?
It's a question of self-worth, and it's also this world patriarch culture that men have sort of defined women. And men have always told us that we have to sacrifice for the family.
So how does one solve that problem?
Which problem?
Well, there's a lot of women problem. Why do we have to call you every day? You know, why do you want to hear I love you 11 million times? Like, I have a lot of problems. I can tell you all about those problems if you want. Maybe you can solve it too. You know, why I get nagged all the time. You know, why do I have to do it now? Why can't I do it later? You know, so
it's all a question of validation from within. And we have been taught to be validated from without. And it is a very, very long process to be able to validate oneself.
Is it wrong to be selfish, though? Like, let's say, because women always, not all of them, but many of them put everybody else before themselves, and they have trouble saying no.
That's one of the biggest problems. Women don't know how to say no, not only to their own children. In many cases, they don't know how to say no. Their boundaries are not clear. And because their boundaries are not clear, it causes a lot of confusion to the person that is looking.
What's the first few steps to start to become the person that they're meant to be, rather than the person they think they have to be? Oh, that's good. Write that down. Everybody write that down.
You know, you are asking me a question that takes a long time to answer, but first and foremost,
yes, I know. It's like an ancient...
She has to break free from the patriarchal beliefs that she has inherited, these patterns that she has inherited.
So is it having a conversation with a spouse, say, listen, I love you, but you know what? I have dreams, I have visions too. And is it first having a conversation?
Yes, I would say a conversation with herself, first and foremost.
Well, herself first, but then what about their spouse? How do you approach that? Because it's not the most... I think people say having a conversation about sex is actually easier than having a conversation about one's self-worth, and you know, and that's already a hard topic to discuss in marriages, right? Because if a woman tells a man, hey, you are not good at, right? I mean, every man here, especially in South Africa, thinks they're the best, right? No, you don't think I've heard a lot of the stories that people tell me? Everybody's the best, and then the woman's like, I don't have it in me of telling them. Do you understand? And by the way, no man wants to ever hear that. You know what I mean? I just like if you told a guy like, hey dude, you need to work on your skills, I mean, it would just kill us. You might as well just send us to the death sentence. So that's the interesting thing, is women would rather keep it inside and live a lifestyle of unhappiness rather than be honest, and so that she can get the pleasure, whether emotionally or physically or anything. And that's almost, and here's the point, I mean, it's really hard. Like, like this is like serious discussion. Because obviously we coach a lot of people, and we've been in car rides and with married people, and they don't talk to each other. They have nothing to talk about. And on the other way, we also find people that are completely polar opposites, left brain, right brain. Those tend to make the strongest marriages. I think people too much...
May I interrupt you?
Yeah, sure, it's your show.
The problem of the world is because men and women have forgotten how to make physical love.
We're not going to demonstrate, but... For example, JT... Hey, listen, you don't look 71.
But because if they really, truly...
So that's a total woman. She has a point, and once it tells me, I just gave you a nice compliment.
Thank you.
Oh, no, thank you. Now we can stand. So women...
Well, if men and women really know how to make physical love, I think they will overcome a lot of these conversation problems.
Okay, so I'm going to play devil's advocate. As a guy, you know, like, for example, there are things that matter a lot to women that men could not. Like, I will tell you this. Most men do not like small talk. Right? How was your day? Did you have a good day today? Have a good day? And you do it because it just, like, I cannot see Francois, let's say, for like 3 months. And then when I see him, it's cool. Try not to have a conversation with someone that I think that's, and the DNA of thinking is so different. And what you're saying, okay, so I get what you're saying, but how does the man, like, come on the other side where now you have equal thinking? Because that is not how men think.
True, but the problem is actually from the women's side, because she's not able to express her needs. And that's one of the biggest problems.
So the lesson here...
Also in the sexual area.
But, well, I mean, that's the three biggest cause of divorce is sex, money, and lack of appreciation. So how does one communicate what is it they want, and should they be afraid that it will offend the other person, or, you know what, rather hear the truth than one live in misery, or?
She's usually afraid.
But
to
how does
hurt
it solve the
other
problem now?
person.
So is it okay for, you know what, you say the truth, it may hurt the other person in the short term, but in the long term, both will be happy?
But there are different ways of communication, and basically...
How would you tell me if I'm not good, you know, at the like, at the Lubrimax thingy, you know, how would you, like, see that, I got that in for you.
Wow.
No, how would you, like, how does one, like, it's gonna make a good video, so why not? Like, very shortly, like, what would, how is a woman should tell a man? And by the way, everybody's like,
Are you talking
the
about
physical part? The physical part, yeah, the physical part.
Aha. It's quite
tough.
a big...
It's really, on both sides, too. You know,
And
like, people always say, like, it gets better. Nah, it doesn't. You either have it or you don't. I just say, like, women say, it gets better. Men has never said that. But also, if you tell somebody that, you know, you need to work on your skills, that'll crush anybody. And it's funny because we can have the same conversation in business to say, hey, you're not good at sales, or you're not good at business, or you're not good at people, and it has the same effect. So how would you communicate that? Let's say you're telling me. Let's say we're like, and you're telling me. How would you tell me?
No.
Yeah, go on.
You know, it's a very...
By the way, I just want to say, I have a gold medal. I want to preface that before everything.
You might have a gold medal for something else other than this.
Oh. All right, give it to Shay. How was one communicate? Let's role play. Tell me. We were actually role playing, assuming I was not. That's good stuff. I know, it's good stuff. You like that. You're like, let me call my husband. Hold on, you're like, honey, listen to this. You know, some of you are getting the cameras out. You're like, man, honey, I saw this interesting speaker. You should watch. So, go ahead.
Well, JT, when I found out that you were the same age as my son, I said, my goodness, is he going to pick on me, or is he not going to pick on me, you know? But you are actually picking on me, because these...
How am I picking on you? This is what you do.
Yes. No,
Oh.
I don't teach people in the bed.
No, but you... I didn't tell you to go like this, you know? Like, I didn't teach you that, you know? I'm talking about the communication part.
That's right.
Right, like, you didn't think I was telling you, like, let's show everybody here. Where's the little guy? You can also use it as gel.
It is not an easy...
No, but what would you say to me? Like, how would first you start off the conversation? No, like, you know, just like, how does one approach it? Honey, I love you, bud, or...
Well...
How do you do it without hurting my feelings? Because obviously it would hurt my feelings. It would hurt anybody's feelings, correct?
Yes.
How do you approach it? I'm just curious, no, honest.
Well, I would start with them saying, honey, you know, would you like to hear about our...
Very interesting. So you don't just say it right out.
No.
You ask for permission to tell.
I would, yes.
Right, without being direct. No, that's actually interesting, because that puts automatically the other person into defensive. All right, keep going. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And then you would go in of that.
Yes, and I said, how did you feel?
Oh, so now you're asking about my feeling. Look at you.
Yes.
You got this whole trickery thing going on. Huh? I feel good. It was good
How-
last night.
how was it?
It was good.
Yeah, how was it? You know?
It was great. Yeah,
then
all 3 minutes of it.
And that is the point. It's not a 3-minute thing. This is the point. It's not a 3-minute thing.
I have to say, I've done a lot of interviews, but this may be the gold medal thing. 10 years from now, I don't know if they show this in a good light for me or a bad light. But was this good? That was pretty good, right? So what I would recommend, because obviously we talk backstage, we know that this is a very sensitive issue. And so I would recommend you guys that if there are some things, because this is not like a Q&A, like my husband does, like it's not this type of thing. But if you want to discuss this privately, that's one of the reasons we brought Lynn, so that you guys can go up to her and ask those questions on a private basis. And you'd be willing to help anybody here that obviously she'll be here for the rest of the day as well. And I think you're going to do a lot of help. And I think both sides. I mean, it's never a one-way street. And unfortunately, a lot of times in communication it is, because we don't like confrontation. People in general don't like confrontation. But this planet is blessed to have someone like you. And this was very, very enlightening for me. So ladies and gentlemen, Lynn Erickson from Denmark.
Thank you.
Because it goes on and on and